right, so things are going good. Still a lot to do. I think we're going to kind of start in on the look of our passwords. Obviously, they don't look right at all. Before we get into the details, I want to tackle this number of columns thing. So right now I've got it hard coded as 2 for me. You've probably got it hard coded for 3. But you can see that, like, when you go on mobile, that's not necessarily the right number of columns. Also, just as your screen gets bigger and smaller, you can see that the number of columns really should vary, right? And if you've got a nice big widescreen monitor, you probably could fit more than 2 on some of these things. That didn't actually work to show what a widescreen monitor will look like, but you can imagine what it would be like if you had a big monitor. So sometimes you would want 2, sometimes you would want 3, sometimes you would want only 1. And so how do we change that? So that's the little quickie game we're going to play with first here. So find your HTML for the main component. And you can see that the number of columns is fixed as being 2 right now. So what we want to do is we want to somehow change this, in a dynamic fashion. So as the screen size changes, what I would love to do, and this is not how it works. I would love to specify calls.xs and calls.md, and that would be super cool if that worked, but it unfortunately doesn't work. And that's because this .xs and .md, that's a Angular Flex layout trick. And calls is an Angular material thing, and they're not quite that well integrated. But what we can do instead is we can bind it to a variable. So let's say we made a variable called num columns. So we've got a variable num columns. Now right now this is not in brackets, so this is actually just a string. But for attributes that are bound with Angular, you can put them in brackets, and this becomes JavaScript, right? So now I've got a connection to my JavaScript, and so now it's connected to my num calls, and so let's just go ahead and put it on as 1, just to see what happens here. So you can save that up, and so now it should go to 1 column. So now it's a single column, which is good. And then let's see, I've got some errors over here on the side. What's that about? All right, temporary, gonna ignore, pretend like I never saw those errors. But you can see that it's working. Another thing you can do, which is kind of cool, is you can have properties like this, but you can also have properties another way. And the way you can do it is you can say get num calls, columns, and so it's going to return a number. And so you can say return, and then I'll just say return 3, right? So it's kind of interesting. What this is this is like a synthetic property. So instead of being an actual property, it's really calling a function, but the rest of your code doesn't care about it. And so you can see that it only kind of showed 2 here, but that's just because I only have 2 total. If I had 1 more there, I've got 3. So you can see that works, but that didn't really gain us much. We did it via a function, whoopee, and it just said return 3. But we can combine this with other commands. So for example, we can say if window.innerWidth is less than 500, then we could return 1. And then else we could return something different. We could actually make a whole structure of these things, right? So we could have for 1, for 2, for 3, for 4. And I've got some different thresholds in here. You can kind of use them as well. So I did up to 500 is 1, up to 900 is 2, up to 1300 is 3. And then if it's bigger than that, so I just did else, use 4. That's for your really big monitors, right? Cool. And so with a trick like this, we can actually change the number of columns dynamically, and we can effectively do what I wanted to do at the beginning. And so right now you can see that right now I'm bigger than 500, so I've got 2, but then as soon as I get less than 500, it should snap to only 1. Looks like it didn't quite work the way I wanted. Let me hit refresh here and see if that works out fine. So I guess that it didn't dynamically do as well as I'd like. It's funny, it did it fine when I got bigger. But usually people don't jiggle the screen like this. Usually they've just got a certain screen size when they load the page, and so it'll be good enough. So here you can see that it's got 1. Some weird things going on here with the space between them, so we're going to have to revisit that. But you can see that we've got one, and then if you've got a really big monitor, maybe I can try to zoom out and pretend like I've got this behavior, so you can have multiple there. So cool, so we're able to have multiple items. Let's go ahead and fix the height between them a little bit. And if you were to go into the documentation on grids, I guess I should probably be in their API reference to find that. So yeah, so there's, where are they at? Right there. Gutter size and row height. And there's different things you can do to specify them. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to specify a gutter size of 10 pixels. So that's like a guaranteed between them. And then I'm going to also specify a row height, which will be useful for later, of 200 px. So if I try those things and see what it looks like when it reloads, they're just a little bit tighter. There's a weird kind of indentation thing here, but I'm not gonna worry about that yet until I get to a little deeper into this. So there's with 1, and then here a little bit bigger is with 2, and if my screen was bigger, I'd show you 3. Cool. So that was just kind of a little sneak it in, dynamic adjusting of your number of columns. All right, I suppose I ought to check that in. So this is grid column count. And we'll see you next time, and we'll start making this page genuinely beautiful. See you then. Bye.